Hi everyone, welcome to this new episode of Globentrepreneur. Today I'm going to be walking you through how I built my first startup company from the get go. I mean, essentially from the idea all the way up to winning thousands of dollars in business competitions, having a validated and structured business case, having a patent for a product, also developing a minimum viable product, and all of that followed a process. And obviously, I think this is very important because there's not a lot of content out there where people show you how they followed a process to get to building a company. I think a lot of people talk about it, but no one really shows how this has been done before. Maybe for confidentiality reasons, I don't know. But I know for sure that there's no business school that will teach you how to build a company from scratch. And this is what I'm going to be teaching you today in this set of videos. So, obviously, this was a 2 year process that I followed while I was a university student. So, I'm going to have to split the topics into different videos. Otherwise, it will just be too long to do in one video. But basically, today I'm going to be talking about how to start. So, just to give you a little bit of background, I was flying back to Argentina, my home country, and I realized that the food carts and planes were really bad, really outdated, and they included like no technology whatsoever. And so I came up with the idea of creating a better cart that would be connected and would be lighter um, to revolutionize the entire cart system on board. So the first thing I did when I got back to the U.S. was to gather a team of people, right? So I had the idea in mind of building a company, but I just had no clue how we were going to start. So I talked to a couple of friends who were engineers, and what we said was, let's meet every single Sunday for 3 hours, and let's start brainstorming, and that's what we did. And so during our official first meeting, the first thing we did was to create a Google Drive folder. Now, this is really, really, really important to do. This should be the first thing you do when you already talk to someone and have a team, or even if you're on your own. Just create a Google Drive folder or any drive whatsoever and just put and document every single thing that you do, because this is going to be extremely helpful once you have to file for a patent and you need to know the design iterations or refer back to documents for tax purposes or for setting up the company or anything. So it's very important that you keep every single file saved into a drive. And even if you can have backups everywhere, that would be great too. And so during our first meeting, basically what I did was I sat down with initially there were another two team members that were my co-founders. So I first sat down with them and I talked to them about the idea in general, right? So the first thing I did was I had to sketch out the idea. Basically, as you can see, this is just a squared cart. There's the screen right there. So I told them, look, we can figure out a way to just have the drinks here up front and maybe the meals here on a separate part, and then we can have the screen so the flight attendants will process meals there, and then they will go and they will serve the meals. And basically, passengers would select their meals through their electronic devices, and they will be processed here on the screen. So even though this is somewhat similar but not the same as the final product design, this was the initial idea, to have a smart galley cart for planes or a smart food cart, right? All right, so after I showed them the sketch, we basically started brainstorming, and I told them we really started. So this was kind of like a wrong thing we did. Like, we started with a solution and not the problem per se. I didn't really know what the problem was. I just knew that something was wrong with those cards, and this was sort of like a better solution I had in mind. So we just started brainstorming on the solution. But then, obviously, we got to the point where we didn't really know the problem very well. So that's where it all started. But obviously, we had no business experience whatsoever. So how are we going to find what the problem was? The first thing we wanted to do is like to start conceiving a solution and see if then we could find the problem that we could solve with our better carts, right? It's usually better to start with a problem and then bring a solution to the problem. But if you start with a solution in mind and then sort of think about the problem, in my head the problem was not the weight in the carts. It was more like the entire service on board was really outdated, and it included no technology and no data, right? But eventually I realized that the main problem was the weight with the carts, and then it was the integration of technology. So, I would highly recommend before you do your first meeting with your team, you have some sort of, way to, to like quickly sketch your idea to show your team members, and then you can go from there, or sort of discuss what the plan's going to be for the company. All right, so basically we started, having several meetings every Sunday. We would just talk about the problem. We looked at the regulations. We were kind of like trying to understand a bit more on how we wanted to do this. And first we had no idea what the company name was going to be, what the logo was going to be. But then what I thought was, if we want to be a startup, we have to make it official. So might as well just come up with a name and a logo to have at least something. It doesn't have to be super professional, but it has to have an identity. And then let's talk about what are the things that we want to achieve with our carts, right? So yeah, I mean basically this was our first logo and our company name. Let me erase this real fast. Okay. All right, so we had the this is a logo I made up actually using some sort of like logo maker on the internet. So this represents a square. That's a card. Then I sort of wanted to have like 3 fringes for colors. I thought this would be cool. And then here, this like circle would represent the tablet. And then the name of the company was going to be FlykeART, right? Because it's kind of like a cart that flies, or kind of like a play upon words like fly cart. I don't know. I just felt like the name was cool. And then I said, okay, let's just use this for now. Later on, if we want to change it, we'll change it, right? And then what we did was, first I looked at what were the current carts out there in the market. So I sort of just went, Google, and then I just looked food carts on planes. And then, here I could read like an airline service trolley, catering trolley, blah, blah, what it's used for. And then, obviously, first thing I did was Wikipedia, right? Okay, so here we have airline service trolley. As you can see, those are these are older cards, probably from like the 1970s, but they're similar to the ones used today, so it doesn't really change anything. So yeah, I mean, I just started reading, and cards started appearing in the 1960s, and then here we have like this different sort of designs. There's not a lot out there in Wikipedia, so obviously the second next step would be looking into this article, the second result on Google. So it says, someone designed a brilliant food cart that doesn't block airplane aisles. Cool. This actually doesn't work, and I'm going to show you later why. This is not loading. Okay. Well, it's just taking too long to load. Anyway, I'm going to show you later. So yeah, I mean, I would just go to images and see sort of like what are the food cart designs out there. So really see the pictures very well. But yeah, basically those are the cards. Let's see. This loads. Okay. Alright, that's not loading. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, here we go. So, yeah, so brilliant food card that doesn't block the airplane aisles. And as you can see, this is kind of like a longer card, right? Very cool. So it's narrower. It has snack boxes that can be taken from the outside. but this is just the design, right? So it also has some sort of like trays and some sort of rails here, so that this will not tilt during turbulence. It has some sort of different compartments, but you know, just as a summary, this is a design. It's not a product, but I felt like it was going to be cool to show you guys that. Um, all right, so yeah, I mean, basically, this is how I do research for a company, right? I just go here and I put smart airplane FlykeART. So let's see, and then uh, I watched all these videos about the cards to know more about how they're used, how they're processed, but I couldn't really find anything. Um, Smart galley cart. Here's our cart, obviously, because I recently uploaded the video for our design. But basically, looking at different trolleys or carts from planes, I couldn't really find anything. So I thought, that's interesting. That's interesting. There's not a lot of things out there. Yeah. So long story short, I looked at this one that I could find, like a brand that sells these carts. So Egret Galley Cart. Oops. Egret Galley Cart. Right. Okay. So Egret Aviation. Yeah. So basically, I got into this website. Um, this is literally the process that I followed to know more about these cards back then. All right, whatever. Yeah, I mean, so I found these cards and I recognized that they were the ones used by planes. As you can see, these are similar to the ones you see on planes, if not the same. I looked at the spec sheet and then I learned a little bit more about what were the costs and everything. This actually goes from 700 to $1,200, and this is actually like 23 kilograms. But anyway, so back then we just had those specs. Um, so basically, this is what I showed my team members, right? What we wanted to achieve comparatively is that I told them we could create a cart that's significantly cheaper because it could be made out of plastics. So instead of being, in this price range, we could make something significantly cheaper. So at around $300, that's what I had in mind. I also thought, if we use plastics, like very lightweight, and change the structure and everything, we could go from 23 kilograms to 5 kilograms, so a lot lighter. And in planes, the weight is really useful. Dimensions, I had sort of like, so as you can see, we used very similar dimensions. The only difference is that it was going to be half the width. So I also wanted to take into account what I looked into that other concept that said that passengers could walk through the aisles. So I wanted to make it half the width. So here, as you can see, this would be the specs, right? So integrated touchscreen. This one doesn't have one. FlykeART would have one. Rating system for meals. In the software, that'll be yes. Passengers will be able to customize their menu on board. Yes. There will be an optimized serving time so that passengers could select at what time they would like to be served, and then flight attendants could deliver. Yes. Portable, so I said something that maybe could fold or could be easily transported. Yes. Modular. Yes. More attractive, so easily sanitizable or cleaned. It could be also eco-friendly. You could stack those cards. It could be customizable, and it could be safer, right? So I just thought, all of those features could be improved. So I kind of like mentally compared the cards, and we did this exercise with our team. Initially, we were just 3 people, right? So list of possible competitors. We didn't even know what were the competitors, but we just listed some sources. Like I showed you all of those YouTube videos that I looked. All right. So with our team, we came up with this first sketch, right? I'm sorry, guys, if I'm not following a very structured approach. I'm just trying to think on how we came up with everything. But basically, this is the process that we followed. So we drew this, right? We were just trying to draw some features. We were, let's see, and then here we were thinking about how the software would work for the touchscreen, right? So this would be kind of like a cabin layout, the seats, and then an optimized serving system to serve the meals. So here it was just a very rough draft on how everything should work. Then this is another blackboard with ideas that we had for dimensions and features and stuff. But as you can see, we documented almost everything. This is just to show you guys that we started brainstorming on the card. So once we defined that, we didn't know how we were going to even start designing this card or anything. So with our team members, what we said is let's do some research on what are some programs out there or competitions or events or things going on that could help us build our product, right? And so we can go here to this folder, competitions, and the first competition that we did was the Airbus Fly Your Idea competition. So if I show you guys, what we did was, we started looking at like aircraft startup competitions. And so, we started doing some research online. See, like here's one, Go Fly, Airbus Fly Your Ideas. There you go. See, here's another one, right? So we would just do this kind of work during our team meetings, just like knowing more about how things would go. So this is one, for example, the Go Fly. So let's see what this is about. Yeah. So this is just to build a personal flying device. So, if you look further into this competition, we wouldn't be eligible for this one. So let's forget about that. But yeah, basically, in I think it was 2018, and then we got into this website to compete at the Fly Your Ideas competition 2019. And as you can see, there were like different challenges. So electrification, data services, cybersecurity, Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, and mixed reality. So here we applied to the Internet of Things category. And so we did more research, and basically, IoT says that we could gather the right data at the right time to improve operational processes and create future products or services for customers and passengers. Collect and manage large amounts of data, enabling new analytics and AI microservices. Let's see. So ideas based on IoT, which could improve the experience of air travel for future passengers. So this could include new data-driven interaction opportunities between aircraft, crew, passengers, improvement of the journey experience from home to destination, or personalization of cabin environments based on mobile data. This is perfect because our cart would obviously be eligible for this category because we wanted to create a smart cart that would connect to the entire cabin experience. So let's just download the PDF here. Yeah, I mean, basically this was just a competition that we found. So very simple process. We did a little bit of research on YouTube and Google of what was out there. We couldn't find, too many designs for galley carts. We couldn't find like established products. And, we realized that there were startup competitions out there. And no matter what industry you're in, if you go to like, let's say like eco-friendly startup competition, right? Competitions. See, like, okay, here's one, global startup weekend, right, for sustainability. So you can just look at what are the startup competitions related to your industry and then just apply to those, right? So yeah, I mean, our sector was very specific. Those airlines and passengers. And so the first thing we did was we said, okay, let's just apply to this competition. So we looked at the deadlines and the requirements, what we needed to do, right? And we were, and that was fine, right? So June, September 2018, there was the registration. So I believe September 2018, we registered for it. And then the first round was ideations, right? So students submitted their proposals to the first round to have an assessment done by Airbus. All right, so basically that's what we did. So first, every single Sunday we would keep on having brainstorming sessions and how we could incorporate IoT, how we would build the software, how we would build the cart, how the entire system would work. It was just trying to answer questions and debate with our team. At this point, we started including new team members because we knew that we were going to need people doing software, doing hardware, and doing several other things. And I just want to show you this is how our company was started. Airbus Fly Your Ideas 2019. This is a picture we took of us four, the initial team we had. So four of us, the four of us were engineers. Obviously, I'm the better looking out of the four. Um, yeah, and so here's like team description, right? We're FlykeART, a team from Purdue consisting of students majoring in economics, mechanical, computer, and aerospace engineering. Our mission is to offer innovative solutions through the Internet of Things to enhance the in-flight experience for flight attendants and passengers. Title of our proposal: Smart Galley Card. Please explain your idea. So we said our idea improves the air travel experience for passengers and flight attendants through personalization of cabin environments based on mobile data. We are designing. This is really bad. I should have had a different thesis statement there, but whatever. I was a noob. Okay, so we're designing an aircraft galley card for an optimized food serving system that operates through data driven interactions. Instead of having flight attendants ask each passenger for their meal choices, our new system will allow passengers to choose their meals and the time they want to be served without interacting with flight attendants in person. So passengers will use their seatback screens to input their meal choices and serving time as it asks for their responses. Once their responses are submitted, the information will be displayed on tablets attached to each galley card, and flight attendants will then use those tablets to serve passengers based on the request they submitted. So this explanation is really bad, but at least I guess that was like the idea we had in mind. Does anything similar already exist in the market? So we said we believe that nothing similar exists, and that was true. There was nothing similar. Many companies have attempted to redesign the cards, but they haven't been efficient. So here we took whatever we found online, like those cards I showed you. So basically, your YouTube and Google research. Obviously, that's not enough research. If you're building a company, you should do a lot more research. But that was just to have kind of like a screening, right? So what's new or innovative? So we said that we would have like an in-flight data-driven communication or like catering software. So no language barriers, right? If you're in China and you don't speak Mandarin and you speak English, but flight attendants don't speak English, then this could solve that. Also, just the serving times and everything would be revolutionized. So here, this can tell, like from here, you can tell that we didn't know clearly what the problem was, but at least we had an idea in mind. So what will be the end user? Flight attendants. What benefits will your idea bring? And again, here we're just basically repeating that everything will be done through the tablets and we're not going to block the aisles. What's the added value? Okay, so here we did have some preliminary customer discovery. So I'm going to talk a little bit about this more. So here we said our food process will transcend into an optimization of galley storage food, significantly reducing the weight of aircraft, which has a direct impact on fuel costs. So we didn't think we could reduce the weight of the carts at first. I guess we were just struggling to define the weight as a strict problem. We thought that we could just optimize how food was packed and processed on planes to reduce fuel cost. We also talked about safety and how those carts can fly off and they can hurt passengers. Can you identify obstacles? Whatever. I'm not gonna read through everything, but as you can see, guys, this was literally our sketch, and it was very bad, right? But we were not industrial designers, so we did this ourselves with the little design knowledge we had from engineering. We used CATIA to basically just design this preliminary cart. The idea would be cans, beverages, utensils, everything would go there. Then there would be a touchscreen to process the meal orders, and then the cart would have like soft edges here, like a curved shape, and then we would have the trays here on the side. So the flight attendants will pull out the trays that are already pre-ordered through the sides, right? So even though this is not great, I think it somehow illustrates the idea. And yeah, so this was our first concept. I'm actually going to take a screenshot of this to use as a thumbnail for the video. Um, so give me a sec. So file, save as, first cart design. All right. Yeah, so that's what we did, right? Now, I want to mention something here. We have the uh, what is the added value or business potential of your idea? So here we said, after talking to representatives of several airlines such as Air Canada, Aer Lingus, Aeromexico, American Airlines, Copa, and United, our team has identified their two main priorities: reducing operating costs while offering a better and safer service to their customers. So how did we do that? And I think I just skipped this step, right? All right, so here in the drive, we can go to competitions, and basically, for this Airbus competition, what we first did was how to talk to our customers. Okay, so what we did, the first thing we did was to create a list of every single airline in the world and we pretty much just listed out every single airline we could find, right? So Aegean, Aer Lingus, Aeromexico, Air Canada, Alaska Airlines, American Airlines, British, Avianca, China Airlines, Copa, Delta, Southwest, United. Anyway, you see here there's kind of like a list. And here's like all the airlines. We rank them by small, medium, or large. And then we put the contact information for every single person that we could find in different airlines. And so here's like their title, their roles, whether they were Purdue alumni or not, their emails, their phone numbers, and whether they have responded to our emails or not. So before sending emails, we created this huge list of people and contact information. And how did we get that contact information? Well, very simple. We just went to Google, right? And we said, let's say, executives at American Airlines contact information, right? So here's the website, and here there is some contact information, right? Right, so the CEO, here's his email, Senior Vice President of Customer Experience, email, blah, blah. And there's also phone numbers there, depending on who you talk to. Yeah, so we already had that contact information. Just to double check, what we did was we went to LinkedIn, and we would just type in the name of whatever executive we found there, right? So let's say it was like John Doe, right? We would like go in here, and we would try to see if that name will match. But another technique you can use is just go American Airlines, and then here you're gonna find everyone at American, right? So like revenue management analyst, flight attendant, senior project manager, marketing and innovation, whatever. So there's a lot of people here on LinkedIn. Basically, we would also connect with them, and we would list them as contact information here. So we would also use LinkedIn. So we used both email and LinkedIn, and we started sending emails. So after we sent every single person, you can see here an email. Also there's colors, because we kind of like different team members talk to different people. So we would say, so every Sunday, so the objective was before every team meeting, we would contact at least 5 people via email, right? So we started contacting 5 and 5 and 5 each, but we were like 4 or 5 team members, so that was like 25 people per week. I contacted a lot more because during class I would like sit down and still like send emails, because I was so hyped about talking to people about this and whether it was a problem or not. And so we got basically first they would just respond to our emails, and we would you know, ask them very generic questions. So as you could see here in this Airbus competition, the only thing we got out of sending those emails was that here, give me a second. So the only thing we got out of the God, sorry about that. Okay, there we go. Yeah. So question 9. So yeah, the only thing we got out of those emails was that all airlines wanted to reduce operating costs while offering a better service to their customers. Now, it's interesting because, believe it or not, out of this airline contact list, almost all of the top executives from the airlines, like the CEOs and senior vice president, responded to our emails. And I guess the good thing was that we just didn't let that stop there with one stupid question, which was this one. Like, what's the business potential of having better cards, or what's your airline trying to solve, right? That was what we asked at first. Let's see, what is this? FlykeART functions. Sorry, guys, there's so many files in here that we're going to go crazy. Yeah, this is not very important. All right, whatever. So, yep. Oh yeah, here we have some technical details like plane measurements and like the size of the cabin and like some specifications that we were looking into, like whether it would be feasible and to have a preliminary idea. But nothing very important. So we submitted that to Airbus, and to our surprise, they rejected us, and we didn't get in. They didn't like our concept. The feedback was that it was not very innovative, and there was no clear and solid business case behind it, which at the time I got very pissed about. But now I recognize that it was somehow true. I think the idea was really innovative. Like, I don't know why they said this was not very new, because I think it is. And in fact, that's why we actually innovated. So, for whoever was the judge there, kind of like looking into the application, you could have been more general, but whatever. Like, I do think there was no strong business case behind it. Right. So the next thing we did was, and I'm kind of like wrapping it up because I want to talk about this in a later episode. With all of what we had, we applied to another competition we found. So what we did was we said, let's look at startup competitions at Purdue University, right? The university we were all in. So here we go. Competitions overview. Yep. So basically, there were two competitions, right? Or three, right? The Blue Sky Pitch, the Business Model, and the Shares Innovation Challenge. So we said, okay, so this one was not going on for some reason, or the deadline had already passed, but there were these two, Business Model Competition and Shares Innovation Challenge. And we thought, okay, even if we did get rejected at Airbus, let's still try to apply to these competitions and see what we can do. So so we looked into this too, and the one that was open at that time was the Burton Morgan Business Model Competition. So we looked into this one. We went to looked at the calendar and how it worked, and then the FAQ, and we realized that there's more than $100,000 in cash prizes, and we were like, oh wow. And then they said, so who's eligible to enter? Basically, Purdue students. And if we had questions, please contact BMC. So we contacted them, and we went to the first meetings for to know more about the competition, right? So we already had a concept in mind, a big idea of what the company would be, and we had already talked to some of the executives regarding this, right? So there was some sort of customer discovery that had already been done. So we go here into BMC, and there's a ton of files. Basically, what I want to do is just stop here. I guess this is good for today. This competition basically what helped us was structure the business process and how to validate our business idea with a specific framework called the business model canvas, right? I'm going to show you how we apply the canvas in real life to validate our idea and how we presented everything, and how we also developed a little video demo, and how we used what we have to what we had to come up with a better looking card, and sort of how we started growing from there. This was the we did get accepted into this competition. In fact, we were one of the top winners, and I'm gonna talk more about that later. But I hope you guys found this video useful. If you have any questions, and if there was anything that I wasn't very clear about when I was talking through the video, please just write a comment in the comment section and I'll answer your questions. Again, this was just a little part. So as you can see, gather the team. Let's just wrap it up, right? So, or sort of like do a brief summary. So we gathered the team, we set up a Google Drive, we started meeting every Sunday, and we would start doing a little bit of research on what was the product out there. And then on Google and YouTube, we would look into what were the competitions. So then after recognizing the competitions, we prepared for one of them. And first we contacted some people to know more about this problem, following the approach I just showed you. And we also developed a visual representation. Even though it was very basic, it still portrayed the idea in a CAD design, right? So if you guys would like me to then show you how you can do a CAD design, what are some tools available, I can also answer that in future videos. But just so that you have an idea, this is how we started. And then we got into the second competition that helped us create a framework to then build a company. And I'm going to talk about that in a later episode. So thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed it. And again, if you have any questions, just let me know and I'll answer those. See you guys.